So Jim Bacon from baconsrebellion.com, the website and news source that covers a lot of stories that nobody else is bold enough to cover, is with us this morning. And I took note yesterday, Jim, that you all posted a story, another year, another tuition hike. I don't understand why parents who have kids going to college haven't raised hell about how these prices keep going up. And it's all because the school administrators, they don't have to worry about it. It's all government loans, and they're not on the hook. It's you and your kid who are on the hook for the next 30 years, right? Good morning.
Good morning, John. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've been waiting for the great parents' revolt against higher tuition prices, and it just never seems to be coming. I mean, people just kind of seem to suck it up and borrow the money or dig deeper or whatever. I don't know. There is maybe kind of a silent revolt going on. You kind of look at what people are doing. I do sense that there's more and more skepticism about the value of higher education, and a lot of degrees within the higher ed community. You see there's a migration of people away from the humanities, history, English, sociology, psychology, things like that, which aren't going to really help you unless you get like a PhD or something. They're not going to help you in the job market. And kids are migrating to fields that they think will actually pay off. So that is going on, but no one seems to be questioning or applying any pressure. The story I wrote was based on a report that came out last week from the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia. One of the things I mentioned in there is public comments. So the legislature passed a law that said that every university in Virginia, public university, has to allow for the public to enter comments before boards raise the rates. And the number of public comments were just absolutely pitiful. There was hardly anybody registered. Now, part of it may be that the universities aren't publicizing the fact that, we're having this, we're raising rates and you have an opportunity to comment. So they aren't publicizing that. If people don't know about it, obviously they're not going to comment.
Right.
But just, you think there'd be some sort of groundswell or something, but it just doesn't seem to materialize, which astonishes me. I don't know.
I think the other factor in it, Jim, is that most people get touched by that school for 4 years. So from the moment that something bad happens to the moment that they finally get angry enough to raise hell to the moment that they depart is pretty abbreviated, So you kind of cycle through people, and that plays in the favor of the long-term administrators. Like, if we can just get this kid graduated, we never have to hear from the parents or the kid again. And then people tend to go off on their way, and 10 years later, they're really proud of their alma mater, and, I love going back to the homecoming game, and it all just kind of disappears on them. But the bill exists. That's what I would think. This would be just something that every month you'd get angry, especially if you were struggling looking for work, this would be the one thing that would be potent.
Well, the way it has played out politically is that students just accumulated enormous amounts of debt. And then at the national level, because the federal, most of the debt is federally backed, is under federal programs, then it's like, then you have President Biden says, well, we need to forgive the debt. So that's how it's playing out. And of course, that would be outrageous, because you think of all the people who have scrimped and saved and invested in 529 plans and worked extra hours, the whole bit, to go ahead and pay off their tuition and worked really hard and sacrificed, and then someone else who perhaps accumulated this debt recklessly without really thinking about it, then they skate. So there's vast inequities there, and I think that's the one thing where there seems to be some traction. A lot of people, I hardly ever hear anybody complaining about the high cost of tuition. What they do hear people complain about is, God, Biden wants to pay them off and let them off scot-free while I sacrificed. Right.
And you paid your bill, and you didn't, you chose something that would actually get you a job. You paid your bill diligently, and now these other people are going to walk with their lesbian studies degrees, and you actually had to work to pay off your bill. I mean, I'd be absolutely livid about that.
Absolutely. I mean, my son has just graduated and this summer, and he's done the whole bit, and working extra jobs, and we've been helping him, and so we've made a lot of financial sacrifices in order to kind of get him through. And but I'll be darned if I'm going to let him not pay off his debt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think that would just be morally grotesque, and we're not going to let that happen. So some people feel that way, but a lot of people are happy for the free ride.
Well, it's I think things are out of control in higher education, and I think people have this nostalgic view of, alma mater, or go school, and they're distracted by football games and basketball games and drinking, and they don't realize they're getting hustled by a bunch of leftists who have taken over these schools and are churning out people who hate their country and are doing their political bidding. And I'm hoping we can help wake up some of the population to say, maybe this isn't, everybody's all worried about the church. They're hostile about the church, the organized church. Maybe you should be a little more hot, because at least I think the church wants to do good stuff. I'm not convinced that these professors and administrators want to do good. I think they hate the country, and they are in a position where they can influence the generations of people to come, and get rich in the process of doing it. I mean, I look at some of the salaries of professors, for God's sake, who've never done anything in their life, never had a real job, not like they were CEO of a company and they've come back to teach the next generation of entrepreneurs. These are academics who've academic to themselves year after year after year, and they're making a fortune. And it makes me angry when my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, what the hell?
Well, that's one of the things that happens when you just shovel endless amounts of money into the higher ed system. Is in effect, we as a society are subsidizing that. We are subsidizing those professors. They're not all crazy leftists, but an uncomfortably large number of them are. Even we're subsidizing these massive bureaucracies that just kind of grow exponentially, and it is as long as you can keep on raising scholarship funds for poor people from well-meaning alumni, and as long as you have federal programs, and then when people borrow too much, then you kind of you let them off a hook. We're just dumping billions and billions of dollars into a system for which there's absolutely no accountability at all. And why it doesn't get more people outraged and up in arms, I don't know. I can't imagine, but it is scandalous. And
I appreciate you shining a light on it, so maybe people will think, wait a minute, I think I'm getting used here, because you are. Jim Bacon, baconsrebellion.com. That's just one of the new stories you'll see from the weekend and headed into this new week, because Jim and his team cover a lot of things that nobody else wants to touch, and these issues need to be discussed. Jim, thank you always. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.